Welcome to the Arrington Gavin Show. Real talk, big opinions, and fearless conversations. From the front lines of politics to the latest in pop culture. From breaking sports headlines to the stories that move the world. Nothing's off limits, and nobody's holding back. Arrington Gavin is here to break it down, build it up, and keep it all the way real. So turn it up, lean in, and let's get into it. This is the Arrington Gavin Show.
Hey family, what's happening? Welcome to another great episode of the Arrington Gavin Show, your go-to spot for sharp insights, bold opinions, and unfiltered takes on the biggest stories of the day, whether it's politics, sports, pop culture, or the latest buzz. Look, we're diving deep and keeping it real, so please, my friends, do me a favor, kick back, stay informed, always stay informed, and get ready to join the conversation. Look, on today's conversation, I'm excited to have my good friend, Mr. Rodney Nickens Jr. He, the last time he was on the show, he was running for Virginia's 90th district, House of Delegate, District 90, which is my district here in Chesapeake. He was running against a longtime conservative who has been in that seat for quite some years. And look, now Rodney it was a great conversation when we had him on. You can hear the passion. Had great issues that he was campaigning on. He came up short with this election, but at the end of the day, I think it built a greater impact because a lot of folks, when they have when you see newcomers that come, they're like, no chance in hell, they're not gonna do good. But really, it shook in the right. You're like, oh snap, who is this person, right? And the numbers said, the numbers showed that, hey, look, for a newcomer, it was quite good. So again, that was a hard fought race. And I had the opportunity to be in attendance at his campaign kickoff, and so you saw the passion again when you spoke on those initiatives. And hopefully, hey, he's not done. I hope. Look, we don't have the conversation, but I'm excited to have him on just to kind of catch up with Rodney. He has a great podcast going on. He has a business as well. We're going to talk about, and as well, we're just going to talk about politics, and we hope to have him on a regular basis to get his take on what's happening, not just on a local state level, but also on a federal level. So you guys are going to be in for a treat on today's show. As always, thank you so much, my friends, for taking the time out of your busy schedule to tune in to yet another great show, another great conversation here on the Arrington Gavin Show. As you know, we are a grassroots program that has continued to grow each and every day. And so, yeah, we see numbers. We see an increase in our viewerships every day, as well as our subscribers. We want to keep that momentum going. All we're doing here is just to help spread some great conversation awareness, right? Kind of keeping you informed, because there's some folks that chooses, I don't want to watch the news. And I get it. The news can be not so appealing, not so attractive, not so sexy, right? I use that a lot. I'm just saying the news is just not sexy, but it's important, y'all, to stay informed and up to speed as what's happening, not just on a national level, but also in your backyard. So we just hope to be somewhat of a platform, of an avenue that can keep you informed, up to speed as what's going on. Let's see here. As you know, we have a campaign. Our goal is trying to hit 5,000 subscribers on our YouTube channel. If you can do so, just share with a friend, share with family. I truly appreciate it. We are, like I said, we're growing each and every day, whether it's a few subscribers, new subscribers here, or one subscriber here. Every increase is good for me, but it's going to take us a minute to get to 5,000. So if you can be so kind to help spread the word and subscribe again, and share with friends, share with family of the Arrington Gavin Show. Look, my friends, we drop new episodes Monday through Fridays at 7 p.m. 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, Monday through Fridays, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on YouTube, Facebook, and wherever you get your podcasts, whether that's iHeart, Spotify, Apple, just to name a few. You can find us on there. Also, you can watch past episodes of the Arrington Gavin Show on Goatverse TV. That's right. You see that icon for those who are watching us right now in the top corner, Goatverse TV. Ways you can check out those past episodes is simply by downloading the app. It's free. It's available on the App Store, Google Play Store, Roku, as well as Amazon Fire TV. You can also, other platforms you can check us out on is our radio affiliates like WBOK 1230 AM in New Orleans, WBOK 1230 AM and 107.1 FM, all under WBOK Media in New Orleans. You can tune into the Arrington Gavin Show weeknights at 7 p.m. Central Time. And then we'd like to shout out our friends over in the Metro Atlanta area, WDJY 99.1 FM Straight Talk. Monday through Fridays, 11 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, you can tune into the Arrington Gavin Show. And of course, you know, I've mentioned this on our socials, but our newest affiliate, KSHP 1400 AM and 107.1 FM Las Vegas. You can tune into the Arrington Gavin Show Friday nights at 8 p.m. Pacific Time, 8 p.m. West Coast Time, to the Arrington Gavin Show. So, my friends, on your way to the casino, hoping to get lucky, right? You could be listening to the Arrington Gavin Show, and then if you hit big, please don't forget, you know, cut off a little bit for your brother. You know what I mean? Just let me a few dollars. You know, times is hard right now. All I ask is just for a couple dollars. That's all. But look, my friends, those are ways you can tune into the Arrington Gavin Show. We're available anywhere, so it's no excuse if you say, "Well, I can't find you. Where are you at?" You must not really tune into the show because we're available everywhere. You can also, if you want to stay connected with me and get in contact, you can check us out on our website, www.theagshow.com. Again, that is www.theagshow.com. I thought we had a QR code. I'm not finding it up here, but no worries. Again, the site is www.theagshow.com. You can email us through there. Whether if you want to hear some want us to discuss a topic that has been, you know, you're curious to hear my take on, or if you have a guest recommendation, or if you are a small business wanting to advertise, look, you can get in contact with yours truly. So many ways you can stay connected with me. And yeah, that's I think that's all I got for you for the intro. So look, my friends, we are going to head to a commercial break. When we come back, I'm going to be joined with my good friend, Mr. Rodney Nickens Jr. We're going to talk a little bit about everything, you know, catching up with him, as well as just getting into the nitty gritty about politics, man. I mean, again, he was involved in it heavily. Now, he was already working behind the scenes prior to becoming a candidate. Now, you know, how is life now? I'm curious to, you know, chop it up with Rodney. So again, my friends, you are in for a treat. Do not go anywhere. We'll be right back after these commercial breaks.
Every man has a story to tell. Your ambitions, your achievements, your legacy. Your suit should reflect that story, crafted precisely, designed for impact, and tailored exclusively for you. We work with only the finest fabrics, luxurious wools, silk, linen, and blends from world-renowned mills in Italy, the UK, and India. These fabrics are the foundation of custom suits that exude elegance and stand the test of time. But a suit isn't just about fabric, it's about fit, and it's about confidence, and it all starts with you. When you work with me, you'll receive a personalized consultation, whether in person or over Zoom. Together, we'll explore your vision and discuss your needs, and we're gonna bring your ideas to life. My journey as a designer includes apprenticing under New York-based designer Clavon Leonard, showcasing collections at New York Fashion Week, Algeria Fashion Week, and the prestigious Baltimore Met Gala. That experience is what we bring to every suit we create, from weddings to corporate events and everything in between. We specialize in crafting one-of-a-kind suits for life's most significant moments. Dapper Luke has been recognized as one of Baltimore's best menswear in 2023, and I was honored to be one of the 10 designers selected for the prestigious Baltimore Met Gala. With over 900 satisfied clients, we proudly serve Virginia Beach and Baltimore, bringing world-class designs to these incredible communities. We don't just make suits, we craft confidence. Your suit will fit your body, your style, and it will tell your story. Book your free online personal consultation today. Visit www.dapperluke.com.
6'10", #1 pick, 16 seasons, College Player of the Year, All-Rookie Standout. Joe Smith built a career on grit, consistency, and showing up.
Greatness isn't just about the game. It's about how you show up every day. Rugged Evolution now offers body care products for every man, because not every man wears a beard, but every man deserves care. Greatness doesn't fade.
It evolves. Rugged Evolution Beard Care. Every beard deserves to be legendary, and every man deserves care.
And we still in traffic.
I don't look familiar, do I? Not in this seat.
Hey, what's that you listening to?
Here to host today.
Hey, turn it up. Yeah, this that new Goat Verse app. I got you.
So y'all want to know where the goats are? They're off on the sidelines.
Looking for fresh, relevant content wherever you go?
What was the name of that he said?
Introducing GoatVerse TV.
GoatVerse, that's what it's called.
The free streaming app that brings you the best podcasts, current events, and thought-provoking opinions all in one place. Download it now from the Apple Store or Play Store. In Goats, we trust.
All right, friends, welcome back to the show. Welcome back. I'm your guy, your friend, your homie, Arrington, here on this wonderful evening. As I mentioned earlier, I have a special guest who is a friend of the show. Last time we spoke with him, he was running for House of Delegate, District 90 here in Virginia. District 90, which represent really all of Chesapeake. And look, ever since I had him on, I'm like, man, this guy making me a believer out of him. I mean, really, again, the passion, the issues that he was speaking on, again, make it make sense. I say that all the time, make it make sense. And he was explaining it to us and to me. And look, I'm not trying to be ageist here, but it's another reason why, whether if it's local office, state office, federal, it's time for new blood, new voices. And I'm gonna just leave it at that. But I'm gonna stop talking and I'm gonna bring on again my buddy Mr. Rodney Nickens Jr. Rodney, what's going on with you, brother?
Hey, what's going on, brother Arrington? Thank you so much for having me. I'm so grateful to be here with you this evening.
Man, thank you so much for taking the time out your busy schedule. Again, I truly appreciate you coming on. It's been a minute. Last time I know we spoke was I think election night. That was around like November, when was that? November 5th of 2025, man. Yeah. It was a long, I would say our races, whether if it was locally and then, just the statewide races. I mean, we had a historic governor's race and lieutenant governor's race. I mean, Virginia was on the map in other states. It wasn't just, we made national news, and it was a lot of key elections happening. And you were part of the mix. Now I explained with the audience that you have a long career in, I would say, community and in politics, but behind the scenes. But now you took a different a shift, I would say, and then you wanted to run for office. If you don't mind sharing with us, man, how was the experience? What did you was it a learning whole journey for you? I mean, what was that? I mean, again, we have time, but I'm rambling questions on the top of the dome. But how was that shift for you?
Well, Arrington, let me tell you something. I never would have thought, if you asked me a million years ago, if I would be running for the Virginia House of Delegates in my hometown in the year of 2025. But let me tell you, it was an amazing experience. It was a once in a lifetime opportunity. There's something that is so surreal but sacred about putting your name on the ballot and asking for the vote of your family and your friends and folks who've known you your whole life, asking them to trust you to represent them. And, I was thinking about this month is Black History Month, and it's the 100th year anniversary of Black History Month. It was started in 1926 by Dr. Carter G. Woodson. And when Dr. Woodson started Black History Month, which was then Negro History Week, it was about 6 years after women were allowed to vote. And so in the time between then and now, we have a tremendous amount of dynamic women, including our historic governor, who not only are voting, but are also leading. And so I was so honored to be a part of the ticket and so grateful to be able to answer the call to serve.
That's awesome. That's awesome, man. So I'm not going to kind of repeat the last conversation when you were on again. What was your reasons for running this and then the other? But was there any learning from this experience? Because, again, you took a leap of faith, and like you said, you never thought you would run for office in your hometown. Ask those that knew you since you were a kid to say, hey, look, I need to earn your trust in this vote, because this is a big this is a huge race. Again, District 90 can be seen more of a red district. So it was already, a difficult, it was a challenge enough. And on top of that, you were running against a long time serving member in Jay Leftwich. And it's interesting because I've shared with folks who I don't know, Jay Leftwich personally, but we've been in the same room. I've talked to him before. It was a moment where there was a forum where each candidate had the opportunity to share exactly why the city should vote for them. And I'll just be honest, you had one that was extremely prepared, and you had one that was kind of said, hey, look, I know I got this in the bag. And to me, that's a disservice for the American people because, well, just for the people of Chesapeake, because it's like, okay, you have to be aware that you have to earn the trust of the people. And when I saw the two, I saw, again, the passion for one, I saw the issues were one, and then I saw one that was telling more about himself and then ran out of time and he didn't get to hear about his platform. And it's like, interesting. But I'm just curious, again, Rodney, you were you were campaigning in a district that you could say is probably not well liked to certain cultures, races, ideologies. And that's why I'm going to ask, how was the experience? Did you learn a lot? Is this, and again, you have your own company too, involving strategic planning. So like, how was all of it? Just, give us the meat and potatoes.
Absolutely. I mean, I think the way I would kind of describe running for office is basically creating a target on your back. And you're never going to please everybody, but one of the things that I learned as a result of this experience is that there is so much more that unites us than divides us. When I entered the race, I was told that I didn't stand a chance, that I wouldn't get one vote. Well, I got nearly 16,000 votes. And so, and that's the most that any Democratic candidate has ever gotten in that district. And so while we weren't successful necessarily in my race, we helped the entire ticket. And our governor, Abigail Spanberger, was able to be successful in the district, as was every one of our statewide candidates. And so we did surprisingly very well in my district overall. And I like to think I had a little something to do with that. But no, I will say, I will say though, it was an amazing experience. There's nothing like knocking on doors and introducing yourself to your neighbors and watching them light up when they realize that, you have more in common than you think.
Yeah, absolutely. I want to ask you this, because you mentioned as a Democrat, that was something that was really unheard of, which you had done, but also you how can I put this out? Overall, the Democratic Party in the city of Chesapeake did a really great job. They did a really great job, I think, overall, because you had newcomers winning school board races. You had you have a Commonwealth attorney that was victorious, and it was challenging because he was previously a Republican and switched, and usually that's hard to keep those votes. I mean, you had a fairly good turnout. You had a newcomer that ran for Commissioner of Revenue, even though she didn't win, still raised a lot. Like, overall, I'm like, these are some quite big, big numbers, a big win for the party, for the Democratic Party in Chesapeake, because being a long time Chesapeake resident, been here all my life, I always considered Chesapeake red. And it's funny because I've spoken with my Democratic friends, and they would say, no, it's just more blue, because of, voted for the president and the governor. And but I'm like, no, because on a local level, it looked a little different to me. And I always bring stuff back to local. And I'm like, if the Democratic Party is the minority on a local level, I personally consider it a red city. Now, as far as on a state level is concerned, I mean, it's kind of equal. You can correct me if I'm wrong, but I want to say it's kind of equal, because you have maybe like an equal number of delegates that represent Chesapeake. You have an equal number of state senators that represent Chesapeake. I mean, it's always back and forth, but I think overall the Democratic Party did quite well for in the city of Chesapeake, and which was, I would say, I think it was an eye opener for the local Republican Party, because I think you had a lot of Republicans, that Republican voters that lean to Democratic candidates, because I think what they're seeing now in Washington, what happens on the federal level trickles down on the state level, trickles down on the local level, and I think that also had a part in the race. So yeah, I just wanted to kind of add on what you were saying. I totally agree that it was a big win for you, and that yes, you did help to contribute that win to your party. Any regrets at all as far as during the campaign? Any regrets that, did you want to share? I wish I did it this way. I wish it was that way. I'm just.
No, absolutely. I think, well, one of the things I'll say is that I am, putting together an after action review and analyzing the race, as a political strategist, by trade. That's what I do. And so I am digging into the precincts, into the numbers, and seeing what messages resonated and where we could have been more effective. Overall, I'll say that, I got into the race in June, and so we did not have a lot of time to raise money. We did not have a lot of time to knock on doors. I would have loved to have been on doors right, as soon as the filing deadline was over. And also money. I was outraised 22 in Arrington. My opponent raised over $300,000. I raised over $50,000 as a first-time grassroots candidate.
Wow.
And it just was not enough. It was not enough to compete. It was not enough to get on television, to get on radio, to get my message across the district. Chesapeake is huge. It's the second largest city in Virginia, over 250,000 residents. And then, of course, in House District 90 is the southern half of the city. It's the most affluent part, and it is the most populous part. So I had a huge terrain to cover, and so I had to make some tough decisions on which neighborhoods I would focus in, and some neighborhoods I just wasn't able to touch. And so I would say overall, my biggest takeaway was that time and money. Because it's a huge
I didn't mean to cut you off, man. Explain the money side, the importance. Again, now I'm just speaking as a, you have your business RNN Strategies LLC. By the way, I forgot to mention that Rodney is not only a former candidate, but he's also a host of the Rodney Nickens Jr. podcast, which please, y'all need to check it out. It's dope. Y'all need to support. I know it's on Substack. I think that's one of the key platforms that's on, I believe. Am I correct?
Yeah, it's the Rodney Kendell podcast, and it's on Substack, substack.com/Rodney4 Virginia.
As well as, again, a founder and CEO of RNN Strategies. Now, let's talk about the money piece, because if what I see when I'm just, checking out campaigns is you have candidates that they're using the push to not accept big money as a way to earn voters' trust, because voters will say, okay, they're just a typical bought out candidate. How can we take them seriously? We hear about if we talk on a federal level, Congress being bought out, Senate being bought out, buying your voters, buying votes. And so, you said that, hey, look, as a grassroots candidate, newcomer, you raise over 50,000, which is 10 grand is a large amount. 50 is a large amount, but over 300,000 is a lot. And then on top of that, you have local candidates raising money like that, or even more. And it's like, wait a minute, y'all raising this kind of money for a position y'all getting paid how much? Like, it's just sometimes it's a little dicey. But just as a strategy perspective, like, how important is funding for campaigns and things? Because look, we might have listeners that says, hey, look, I want to run for office in my hometown or my community.
Well, I think it's incredibly important. Unfortunately, it takes money to get your message out. You can't talk to every person in your community, and that's why you invest in mail. You send out mailers. You purchase advertisements on radio and television to kind of broadcast your message out there. And if you're fortunate enough, you can hire staff, and you can hire community organizers to go knock on doors and to make phone calls and to send text messages. But it's really just about getting your message out there. Starting a campaign is like starting a company. You got to scale up the company. You got to purchase office space, supplies, materials. the whole nine. And so when you have more resources, you're able to do more, you're able to go to more events, you're able to also support other candidates within the party, because it is kind of like, if I scratch your back, you scratch my back.
Absolutely.
And
Absolutely.
so
It's especially if y'all on the same ticket, y'all team. Yeah.
Correct. Work smart, not hard. And so you're able to kind of coordinate a little bit more effectively with your ticket. And when you don't have those resources, you kind of just, flying by the seat of your pants and trying to stretch yourself as far as you can, but you can't be, two places at once. And so you got to make tough decisions about where to spend your time, where to invest your energy, and how often you're able to connect with voters and your constituents. So it is a time sensitive process, and that's where the resources really help to stretch your
okay. My last question in regards to your experience as a candidate, will you run again? I'm just saying, was this a one and done thing, or what's next for Rodney Nickens Jr.?
Well, like I said, this was not something that I had anticipated doing last year. I was recruited. I want to give a shout out to Dr. Fergie Reed for encouraging me to put my name in the hat, as well as all of the previous candidates who have run and sought to make roads in this very conservative part of our city. I am still taking it all in. I never anticipated to have 15,000 people put their vote of confidence in me in my first race in my hometown. And so I am so honored and grateful for their confidence in me. I'm definitely not going anywhere. I'm still going to be involved. I sit on the board of directors for Pride in the Peak and Equality Virginia. So we're really excited to be planning a very important celebration for Pride Month this June, in the midst of so many attacks from the federal government. And we have some very important constitutional amendments that are going to be on the ballot starting in April, with redistricting on April, I believe it's April 21st. Early voting starts on March 6th. So I'm going to be supporting that effort and encouraging everyone to vote yes on that. And then, of course, we have our marriage equality amendment, our reproductive freedom amendment, and our felon disenfranchisement amendments, which are going to be on the ballot this fall. So I'm going to be busy supporting all of those initiatives and encouraging folks to vote in favor of democracy, to vote in favor of civil rights, to vote in favor of equity and fairness. And of course, I also continue to serve on the board of the Community Advisory Council at the Hampton Roads Planning District Commission. And so I'm keeping myself busy, and I'm
about to say that's a lot right there. That's what I would have thought this man said. I'm still in Bermuda right now. I don't know when I'm gonna come back. I don't know when I'm gonna come back. But no, that's good.
Not one to sit around and knit, but I'm never going to say never say never. How about that?
Okay. You heard it here. He never said never. No, he never said never. But let's talk about at least politics on a state level first before we get on the national level, federal level. Virginia we had a historic election last period. We witnessed the first women elect as governor in Abigail Spanberger, a former congresswoman. We had Gonzala Hashmi, lieutenant governor, being the first Muslim American elected in a statewide in the U.S., not just in Virginia, but overall. That was a huge deal. And then you had Jay Jones, first African American elected to attorney general for the state. And then, of course, you can't, and I say this because the Democratic Party for Virginia had a huge win. You have a trifecta, really, because you already have the majority in the Senate. You had, I think you gained 13 seats, not 6, but 13 seats in the House of Delegates. And then, again, you go on the higher positions. What's your take on that? I mean, why do you think that Virginia or the Democratic Party? Where did this come from? This was the biggest win that I witnessed for the state. And if you can, what was the L's that why did the Republicans not capitalize on it?
Well, let me also take a back seat or backtrack for a minute too, because at the local level, we also took the treasurer's office for the first time in the history of the city of Chesapeake.
That's
So
right.
this was a historic election for Democrats up and down the ticket. And, you know, I think it boils down to one thing. This president, this 34-count felon, convicted felon of a president, twice impeached, disgraced president, came into office in 2025 saying that he was going to bring down costs. He was going to bring down the cost of housing. He was going to bring down the cost of groceries. He was going to tame inflation. He was going to end the wars on day one. And instead, what he has done has exacerbated the cost of living for all Americans, including many Virginians. He has cut thousands of jobs for many Virginians in Hampton Roads who depend on the federal government for their livelihood. And so as a result, now we have thousands of Hampton Roads residents, many in Chesapeake, but across the Commonwealth as well, who have lost jobs and are out of work. The cost of living continues to rise. He has not tamed inflation, and he has not scaled down our foreign adventures, I would say, in Asia and Europe. In fact, he has escalated tensions all across the globe. And so voters made their voices heard in November that this president is out of control and that we do not have kings here in the United States. We have a democracy, and we are going to fight, and we're going to push back, and we are going to make our voices heard at the ballot box. And that is exactly what we did last year.
Y'all, now y'all see why I had to look. Why I'm excited to bring back Rodney here on the show. Look, I knew it was coming. It was coming. I had to take time, and I was like, oh snap. All right, Pastor, let him use you. Let him use you. But
no, Arrington. I also want to just briefly mention that this president has created a fear of terror across our country, sending ICE agents, throughout our communities to harass our neighbors, and so. Our American people do not support this president's lawless behavior and his abuses of power. And we are seeing that in special elections across the country. And we're going to see that in April. And we're going to see it in November when we take back the House and the Senate.
Yeah, look, I've said it time and time again. I have, and my audience know, I've been critical of the left. I've been critical of the right, but they know when it comes to this administration and the person at the helm, you can't tell me since he came down the golden escalators that it has been positive or a benefit. I just it really blows my mind when I talk with my friends, and I do consider them friends because I have friends that voted for him. I have friends that still probably vote for him. That's just, hey, look, regardless, like I know brothers, I know people of color that vote continue to still support him. You can't tell me when you have a man that just, instead of saying, it's a sad tragedy what happened to Rob Reiner and his wife, instead he says, this basically he had it coming because he was insulting to me. Like he doesn't have a kind bone in his body. Jesse Jackson just passed. What does he say? Well, Jesse never liked Obama. Like everything is always, bro. Like, am I wrong? And like he always brings it up to the man has the Obamas living in his head rent free, and it just it blows my mind because he also posted, he depicted the former First Lady and the former President Barack Obama as apes, right, on social media. Says he's not going to apologize. He still hasn't apologized to the exonerated five. Okay. The list goes on and on and on. And so, and that's just one piece, right? But you've mentioned he's always promised the cost. Now you're seeing some of his voters feeling the effects, which it always just baffles me when they're like, when it happens to you all of a sudden, like, I was wrong. Like I played a clip on a few shows ago of a gentleman who's a registered Republican who had voted for Trump 3 times, and he publicly came on C-SPAN. It was a call-in show, and he apologized. And look, I applaud that man for doing that, because he's just saying, I'm sorry. I was caught in the lies that I was told prior, but I'm like, it had to take you 3 tries to find it out. Like, it had to take
fool me once,
right? When they tell you who they are the first time, believe them.
You gotta believe them.
I don't understand. I do not understand. And going back to Virginia, it was a big win because really Virginia is one of those key states that, you know, it can affect the full nation, right? Virginia, the Commonwealth state, has had mostly, we've been back and forth. We had mostly liberal governors, but we just, you know, we finished coming from a Republican administration with Youngkin and with some Earl Sears and Jason Myers. Now you have a new squad in the helm. You've mentioned about how ICE agents is going to more urban and blue Democratic leaning cities with ICE agents, and it's unfortunate because we have heard the loss of not one but two U.S. citizens that was brutally gunned down.
Renee Good.
Alex Preddy and Renee Good. Thank you for that. And it's sad. And look, I have shared on the show. I don't think it's safe for anybody, and I'm not trying to defend the ICE agents, but don't put yourself in a position where if you're going to agitate, because you know what the response is, right? So I've said all that, but that does not mean folks need to lose their life over it, especially the way it was done. I mean, Renee Good was leaving. She was leaving. They're saying, oh, the ICE agent, he was rushed to the hospital. He was walking away after he did his damage. He was walking away. Everybody saw the video. You saw multiple clips. And then you go with Alex Preddy. Okay, I see a man on the face down on the ground getting attacked by 5-6 officers. Where's the threat? Where's the threat? he obviously. So it's really unfortunate of, you know, what we're seeing and witnessing. I wanted to share because when you brought up ICE agents, we're seeing here in our own backyard a lot of protests happening where you have students in high schools that are doing walkouts. You have people protesting in regards to, you mentioned about funding, people losing their Social Security, losing health benefits, with all the you know, the government cuts that have been occurring. Public radio could be going away because of the closure of the Corporation of Public Media. So folks that live in rural areas cannot have a way of getting educated. Because I'm thinking, I go back to my childhood. You remember Arthur Franklin?
Absolutely.
You know, all that stuff was public. All that stuff was public media. You know what I mean? That was public broadcast, and it's just like, for that to be looked as a threat or a waste, I'm like, you're kidding me. I know I'm going on a rant because you the guest, Rodney. I don't know why I'm doing all the talk. Right, I'm venting right now because it started to hit me. You know, the Kennedy Center, now called the Trump Kennedy Center, he put his name in front of a president who was assassinated, right? It's a memorial, for crying out loud. Now he's putting his name. It's a lot, man. I mean, what's your take on it, Rodney? Because I need a drink now. I done talked.
No, I think that it's designed to, you know, to exhaust us and to distract us from the failures of this administration, whether it's the one big ugly bill that cut billions from Medicaid and is driving up the cost of health care for millions of Americans across the country, including thousands, hundreds of thousands here in Virginia, to his tariffs disaster. The Supreme Court today just struck down the whole core of his economic policy agenda, which was tariffs on foreign countries and the imports that they seek to sell to the United States. That has just been struck down and ruled unconstitutional. And so I think all of these antics of his, from the Obama imagery to his disrespect of Jesse Jackson on his passing, are designed to distract us and to anger us and to keep us focused away from the real issues. And the real issues is that he has been a failure of a president. This is the most corrupt administration in the history of the United States. This president needs to be impeached or he needs to be removed. And so does everyone in his cabinet.
I want to also share, Rodney. Now, you know, we shared our take on this administration. We know how we feel about them, but I cannot, you know, ignore that. Hey, look, Democratic Party needs to do better too. And I say this as independent, you know, right? You know, I don't speak as a, you know, I'm not married to really any parties. Now, obviously, if I had to choose between the two right now, because obviously you look at, but you know, MAGA is in his party of its own. Really, MAGA isn't a party of its own because there is a number of Republicans that has spoken against, and that is, I mean, hell, it was a gentleman who was running for governor in Minnesota, running as a registered Republican, who opted out. He left the race after the killing of Alex Preddy. So he is speaking out, saying, "No, this is just not right. This is not right." So, but I want to say, what should be the strategy of the Democratic Party? Because let's be honest, this would have not happened if someone did not win an election, and we have seen, the Democrats kind of, they're not seeing eye to eye, because you do have some oddballs where you have, like, say, Senator John Fetterman out of Pennsylvania, right? You have you have the man who chooses to wear sweats and basketball shorts all the time, but says it's not about him, it's about his constituents. But bro, you're bringing eyes to you, because obviously you're trying to bring attention because you're not wearing a suit. That's just your whole persona, whatever. But you have him. You have a congressman out of New York, Tom Suozzi. You do have your, I would say, conservative-leaning Democrats that is making it difficult for, I will say, progress in the Democratic Party. And I'm speaking just on a federal level, because there is a difference between, say, your state Democrats, or say your Virginia Democrats, than your federal Democrats. Or state Democrat Party is different from your federal Democrats. But what can the Democrats do, or what should they be doing right now in order to take power back, or to make a difference? At least, I won't say take power, because I do believe you can't pass bills without bipartisanship. I don't think it should always be just one party. But what should they be doing now, or what should have they done in the past, so this wouldn't have ever happened?
Well, I think you got to separate.
That's a whole long sling of questions. Yeah.
No, you have to separate. What went wrong in the past versus what we need to focus on in the future, and then also you have to be situated in the present. Right now, we have investigations ongoing in Washington with regard to the Jeffrey Epstein scandal, in which this president is mentioned over 1,000 times, and there has not been any accountability.
I never heard of this man. I don't know him. I still don't know him. I never heard of him.
In terms of his attorney general and his Department of Justice, and bringing forward the co-conspirators that have been accused of wrongdoing, there has been no transparency or accountability. So there needs to be transparency and accountability with regard to this administration and holding them accountable. And I think the American people are going to make that a priority coming up in March 28th. The No Kings protest is going to be taking place across the country. It's expected to be one of the largest civil disobediences, or instances of civil disobedience in the United States history. But in terms of moving forward in the midterms, I think we have some really dynamic and exciting young candidates. I think it's important that we support the next generation of leadership in this country, because it is time for new and fresh leadership. I'm really excited about some of our Senate candidates. Like, for example, in Texas, we have Jasmine Crockett, who has really electrified a new generation of voters. We got to do more to get more voters registered. In this past election, 70 million people did not participate. And so when we have a third of our nation, we have about a little bit over 300 million people in this country. When we have almost a third of our country not even participating, that to me is a symptom of the decay in trust in our government and in our democracy. And so we have to do a much better job of meeting people where they are, getting folks engaged, especially young people are 16 and 17 and 18-year-olds. They've never voted in an election before. And so we have to do everything we can to encourage them to register to vote, encourage them to participate and get involved, and help them understand that it's going to be young people that put this country back on the right path. From Martin Luther King to John Lewis, it's always been young people who have led social movements for change in this country, and that's not going to be different this time.
You mentioned bringing young voices. just not even young, new, but I've kind of found myself always getting in trouble because I come across as ageist sometime, and I'm like, hey, that's your prerogative. I'm just being frank. When I see folks coming into the chambers on walkers, in wheelchairs, or someone that has been in office for, I'm just saying, like, you have folks that buffer, and there was a congresswoman in DC. I forget her last name, but I know first name was Eleanor. She was 88 years old. She was considering running for re-election. Miss Norton, she was contemplating on running re-election. Nancy Pelosi at the time was thinking about running for re-election. Maxine Waters, I've been kind of caught. A lot of my friends on the left was kind of.
We're not talking about Auntie Maxine, man.
Sorry, Auntie is. Don't get me wrong. She's a legendary. She's a legendary. She's a legendary figure. Don't get me wrong. She's been a powerful voice. She's not scared by any means. Obviously, she went viral with the Reclaiming My Time. She has had an impactful position in office. I don't think she should, and I don't know. This is speculation, but I don't think she's quite happy with having a challenger and a young challenger that is. But she's not. But I just think we go back to, okay. There was 75 million people that did not vote. There's a strategy where you have to, for one, approach and bring them away. When people see older folks, especially young people, when they see those that's unrelatable to them. They might can't relate to issues that they are going through. Yes, they can, they can learn, they can be aware, but I don't mean to be disrespectful to those that have served. James Clyburn, iconic figure, right? He's 85, 89, something like that. I just think that when you have, it's time to pass the torch. When you have folks that will enter into politics and say, look, at the most, I might do 2 terms. Because look, you look at, hell, we have a senator, Senator Mark Warner announced he's running for a 4th term. It's 6-year terms every year. So it's just, you're in there forever. And I'm like, I don't think you should be that. I always explain to my friends, I'm not trying to be rude by any means to some of these people, but you do have folks that love to abuse power and want to stay in that powerful position. I'm not, that could be anybody on, any side of the aisle, because that's something that we never would know, because that happens behind closed doors. But you just can't continue to say, I'm the only voice, I'm the only one that can make that decision. I'm like, it's just not that simple anymore. And I think it is time for that. Those senior positions or people with seniority should start mentoring and look at who can be the person that continues the story or continues the narrative. That's all. But when I see folks that's up there in age, man, I'm sorry. I was sharing a story on the other evening, and the ShamWow guy is running for Congress in Texas, and he's running to unseat a long-standing Republican who is like 83 years old now, and it's just I don't know, man. I'm a stickler when I see a lot of hell, we have it here on our in our local community too. I'm not gonna say no names either, but we have some people that's been up there for quite some time, and it's just time for a change. So do you think that the Democratic Party should embrace that a little more, or not, because a lot of their key figures are of a certain age? We mentioned Auntie Maxine, you mentioned James Clyburn. Those people have powerful. Chuck Schumer has been back and forth, people either liking him or wanting to unseat him as well. What's your take, Rodney?
Well, my thing is this, and I was proud to sign the pledge to support term limits when I was running. I still am a firm believer that we need to have term limits at all levels of government, federal, state, and local. We have term limits for president, but we don't have term limits for the Supreme Court. It doesn't make sense. I think we need to have term limits because it encourages democracy. It encourages accountability. It encourages folks to stay engaged with their constituents. I want to mention briefly, and I know we're running up on time, but so unfortunately, yesterday we received the news that Delegate Barry Knight just passed away in Virginia Beach, and he was very ill for many years, and he was I believe he was 75. But I think it kind of underscores, and we've also lost several members of Congress in the past 2 years. I think it also indicates that, this is hard work. And so we need folks who are going to be able to devote themselves, who have, the fortitude, both mentally and physically, to be representatives for their communities. And I think that it's a time for change. It's a time for a shifting of the guard, and it's time for a new generation of leadership to stand up and to move our country in the better direction, in the direction of justice.
Yeah, and look, I mean offend you by talking about Auntie Maxine. I mean, there was a moment when Maxine Ward, she was changing that. Look, you know the video. There was a video she was trying to adjust on live TV. I said, Lord have mercy. She is literally our grandma. She's the grandmother for everybody. Like, hold on, I'm on TV. I gotta fix this. This part ain't showing. I'm like, Lord have mercy.
But I do think it is important to have primary challengers. I think that is healthy to have primary challengers. And so I support folks who want to challenge Chuck Schumer. I think they decided they're not going to challenge Hakeem Jeffries, but I support primary challengers. And I think it's healthy for democracy, and it keeps our representatives on their toes.
Absolutely. I know we're running low on time, but I want to hear you mentioned the Senate race in Texas between and that's still the primary, because you have Jasmine Crockett and James Tellerico, who's a state representative. Now that's a heated, I won't say heated race, but it's pretty tight, because you have supporters of James Tellerico, you have supporters obviously of Jasmine Crockett. For me, why shouldn't, and this is no disrespect for Congresswoman Crockett, if the goal is to keep power in certain areas, whether it's House and Senate, why gamble? Why take a risk on possibly, because if she loses, I don't know if she can continue her term or finish out her seat for Congress. But she's taking a leap, wanting to run for Senate. Texas is it's a red state, right? I don't think it's been a black woman ever elected in the Senate position in the state of Texas. Why take that gamble and avoid backing James Tellerico, who is a state legislator, so he's obviously below Jasmine Crockett, but he has been building up a large audience in Texas and nationwide. Why take that gamble and avoid losing the seat in Congress to push to go to Senate?
Well, I think that you actually just kind of undermine your own question. She is his senior, and she also has been building up a national profile. But I think, my understanding is that because of this president and his desire to take 5 more seats in Congress prematurely, we usually have redistricting every 10 years. And so the next congressional redistricting would have occurred in 2030, but this president ordered the governor of Texas to redraw the lines, and Jasmine was actually drawn out of her own district, so she had a tough choice to make, either to try to run in another district or to run statewide. And she looked at the polling, and she looked at the demographic shifts in Texas. Texas is experiencing a surge of new residents, many of them Black and brown and young and working class. And so she took a gamble, saying that perhaps she could be the candidate to bring in new voters to the party, and that's what we've just been talking about. The 70,000 voters across the country, many of them in battleground states like Texas and North Carolina and Georgia, who don't participate or who have not had a chance to participate. She took a gamble that she would be able to engage those voters and potentially take advantage of the unpopularity of this president and his party. And I think she might have a shot, but I think that they're both dynamic candidates. They're both millennials, and I'm very much in support of our millennials running for office. And I'm excited to see how it plays out. The election is actually happening right now.
Another final question, real quick. I see that progressive Democrats are really growing on a federal level, but when you go on a state level, possibly even local, progressive is really not they lean more towards moderate centrist. Why is that? I just want to get your take on it.
Well, I mean, generally, local elections are supposed to be nonpartisan. You know, your mayor, your city council, your school board, your sheriff. You know, you really care if they're a Democrat or Republican when you need to call 911. You just want somebody to come and to help you. So generally, local elections are supposed to be nonpartisan. But we have seen partisanship become a much more of an issue in the past decade as a result of this president and his rhetoric. However, I think that we are seeing, you know, actually the largest growing party affiliation is independent. And so we are seeing a significant amount of people choosing to you know.
We welcome y'all independents with open arms. Come on now. Come on, independents. Let's talk. Come on now.
or moderate, if you will. But I think we are seeing that partisanship dissipate amongst younger folks.
All right, my friend. Well, look, I think we might have about a few minutes. Rodney, again, I truly appreciate it. You're not going to be a stranger because I definitely want to continue to have you on and get your take, because there's so many stories that happen on a regular, and I would love to get your take on it. But how can folks continue to follow you, all the great stuff you have going on now, and how can people, you know, stay afloat what you got going on?
Absolutely. I would definitely encourage folks to subscribe to my Substack and my podcast at www.substack.com/Rodney, the number 4 Virginia. You can also follow me on all platforms at Rodney for Virginia, Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, and let's stay connected. Let's stay engaged, and let's keep pushing forward. We got an important election to win here in Virginia in April, and onward to victory in November.
And then you'll be back to announce your presidency run as well on the show. So anyway, y'all. Do you? Was that a secret? Was that a secret? Did I
I'm not running for president.
No, Rodney. But again, my friend, I truly appreciate you coming on the show. We got a lot to catch up on. If you don't mind, I'd love to chop it up with you just for a couple minutes after the show. But as I said, my friends, it's so much stuff happening on our digital space as well as on in, you know, local, state, federal. It's so much stuff happening. It's so much stuff, and sometimes you can get a little whiplash because it's like, okay, something is happening each and every day, and we try to share it with you here on the show, whether if it's, you know, in the entertainment space, sports, politics. But again, I speak a lot on politics because I want to keep you guys informed. I cannot stand when people are like, oh, I didn't know about what we got, what commissioner of revenue, what is it? Like, come on, people, come on, we gotta do better. But Rodney, like I said, don't go anywhere. I thank you so much for you taking the time out your schedule, and I will talk to you in a second. So don't go anywhere. All right, my friends. Well, look, I hope you enjoyed yet another great conversation here on the Arrington Gavin Show. I want to thank my guest, Mr. Rodney Nickens Jr., founder CEO of R&N Strategies LLC, as well as host of the Rodney Kendell podcast. So be sure to follow that on all platforms, Substack, and follow him on all his social media platforms as well. I believe he said it was Rodney 4, the number 4 Virginia on all social media platforms. So be sure to stay afloat, because I'm telling you this. Look, Rodney knows his stuff. And he's been involved on so many levels. So he's gonna continue to share his expertise on this show, hopefully on a regular basis. We're gonna work that out. But as always, my friends, time is always against me. Until when we continue to grow, maybe we might become a 2-hour show. You never know. But I just thank you for always chiming in on the conversation. Be sure to always stay informed, stay safe out there in these streets. It's a tough times we're living in. But you got to just, stay prayed up, stay positive, and always know that, hey, it's the best is yet to come. I'll just keep it like that. The best is yet to come. But my friends, as always, take care. God bless. And I will talk to y'all soon for another great combo. I'm out.
That's it for tonight on the Arrington Gavin Show. Thanks for tapping in and keeping the conversation alive. Don't forget, stay connected with us on all platforms. Follow at Arrington Gavin on Instagram, Blue Sky, and X, and subscribe to the official Substack for exclusive takes and deep dives you won't get anywhere else. We're here every weeknight, same time, same energy, same real talk. Until next time, stay bold, stay sharp, and stay true. That's what we do on the Arrington Gavin Show. Peace.